Art is not subjective. Saying art is subjective is one of the most ignorant statements that you can make. It implies that there is no skill in art, which is just not true. So I'm a filmmaker, right? And when I hang out with friends from time to time, they like to challenge me on my cinematic opinions. So I'm hanging out with a bunch of friends yesterday, right? And we're casually talking about random movies, and I happen to say that Scorsese is one of our greatest living directors. And one of them says they don't like Killers of the Flower Moon. Cool, they like the book better. Not mad at it, I haven't read the book. They asked me if I liked the movie. I was like, yeah, I thought it was cool. And then I said, Scorsese is one of our greatest living directors. And another friend says to me, oh yeah, but he's a Scorsese apologist. So I'm like, Scorsese apologist? The f*** do you mean a Scorsese apologist? That's not even a controversial opinion that Scorsese is one of our greatest living directors. That's just almost fact. And one of them says to me, yeah, well, art is subjective. And I'm like, no, the f*** it isn't. Which then had me thinking, why does he think that art is subjective? And then I got to thinking more, oh, all of you think that art is subjective. It's not. You know what is subjective? Taste. Taste is subjective. What you have experienced, what you've gone through in life, and the taste that you have developed is unique to you. And just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's not good. Art, just like any other discipline, requires a certain level of technical skill and mastery. And these skills can be objectively assessed, just like skill in mathematics or craftsmanship. For instance, a painter's ability to create depth through shading, to accurately depict human anatomy, or to mix colors harmoniously are all measurable skills. All of this can be objectively judged, and a high level of technical mastery is required to reach a certain level of artistry. And technical mastery isn't even the only way to prove that an artist or a work of art is good. Certain aesthetic principles such as balance, symmetry, and proportion have been valued across cultures and historical periods. These principles are rooted in natural laws and human perception, which are consistent regardless of an individual's taste. Something like the golden ratio, for example, is a mathematical ratio that has been employed in art and architecture for thousands of years, from the Parthenon in Athens to Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. The widespread and enduring appeal of such principles suggests that there are objective standards of beauty that transcend a person's opinion. And a lot of that is found even in nature. So nature is naturally becoming beautiful. The things that we think are pretty are just out there. For instance, a sunset. Everybody loves a sunset, right? It's gorgeous, especially when there are little clouds sprinkled in. It's beautiful. An artist recreating that is reaching into the aesthetic principles that we as a society have deemed beautiful. There's no subjectivity to that. I mean, even beyond that, you have the emotional and communication aspects of art that are not at all subjective. Going back to filmmaking, the ability to tell a story well and to tell a story visually is a part of the technical mastery, and Scorsese is a technical master at that. And all of his films, whether you like them or not, have that. A good example is his film Silence. I've seen that film 3 times. 3 times. And I can tell you, it ain't for me. But I cannot argue that the film is bad because it is technically good. The objectives that he tried to get across are good. His storytelling is good. His visual storytelling, flawless. The acting, amazing. These are all aspects that require skill that is developed over time that he can use to be able to put together something amazing. My personal taste makes the film not for me, but that doesn't mean it's not good. That's not subjective. Like, you can tell the difference between a movie from somebody that really knows what they're doing and somebody that doesn't. And whether you like the movie or not is irrelevant to whether or not the movie is good or well made. Like, I spoke to a neighbor who often says that Stanley Kubrick films leave them feeling cold and empty. Kubrick is not his cup of tea. But the argument that Kubrick is not good because you don't like his style or you don't like the stories that he's telling is ridiculous. It's asinine. Doesn't even make sense. Art's ability to communicate emotions and ideas effectively can also be seen as an objective measure of its quality. A piece of art that fails to convey the intended emotion or message to its audience could be considered less successful than one that achieves this goal. Yes, individual interpretations of the art may vary, but the artist's intent and the artwork's ability to evoke a specific response can be objectively analyzed. Art that universally resonates with human experiences such as love, fear, or grief often garners widespread acclaim, indicating that some works possess inherent qualities that speak to the common human's experience. And you're asking, I'm sure, how is that objective when you're talking about people's emotions? Well, we all experience the same emotions. I'm sorry, people, you're not unique with the emotions that you're experiencing. You may be unique in what is triggering those emotions and how you express those emotions, but we all have the same range of emotion. So an artist's ability to reach out and get those emotions out of you are critical for a heightened sense of awareness with art. That is the entire point of art, to be able to communicate emotionally with other people. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, what is the artist's intention and what emotion they're trying to get out of you? And how does that make you feel? Is the way that you feel the way that they wanted you to feel or not? Because if it is, then they succeeded. And even if it's not, that doesn't mean it's not good because somebody else could have felt that. There are other times where the art is just not intended for you, but its target audience felt the emotion. There are works of art that make me feel uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean that I think that they're not good. Like paintings like Olympia by Edouard Manet, or Saturn Devouring His Son by Francisco Goya. But there are other works of art that other people are disturbed by and I feel completely fine with, like The Sin by Heinrich Lasso, or Judith Beheading Holofernes by Caravaggio, or The Origin of the World by Gustave Courbet. Music is another great example of this. Like, a lot of people felt super disturbed with Kendrick Lamar's Meet the Grahams, and because they felt disturbed by it, they felt that it wasn't good. But no, you felt what he wanted you to feel, disturbed. Leaning on You by Haim is a great example for me of a song that encapsulates the feeling of being in love. It's literally how I feel when I'm in love with someone. Takes all that I got not to fuck this up. This is what art is supposed to do, and there's no subjectivity to that. Going further than that, as far as music goes, I can say that a classical form of music is beautiful and technically proficient, and I don't have to like it. That's a bad example because I like classical music. I was going to use jazz, but I like jazz even more. Ooh, river dance. I can say a river dancer is technically proficient and they're great dancers, but I don't have to like river dance, and I don't like river dance. I think it looks dumb. That don't make it bad. I don't know anything about river dance. How can I say that these river dancers aren't good dancers? I don't know. While taste and trends in art can vary, there is often a broad consensus among critics, historians, and the public of the greatness of certain works. For example, Shakespeare or Michelangelo or Beethoven are universally regarded as masters of their craft, transcending cultural temporal boundaries. The widespread recognition suggests that certain artistic achievements are objectively superior to others. Moreover, longevity of certain works, which continue to be celebrated and studied centuries after their creation, indicate that they possess enduring qualities that can be objectively recognized and appreciated. Artists love to learn from other artists that came before them, and you have to find some level of objectivity to be able to study someone's art and take from it to enhance your own art. Art can also be evaluated through its cultural and historical significance. A work that captures the essence of a particular time or contributes to the development of a genre or movement holds objective value. For example, Pablo Picasso's Guernica is not only a technical accomplishment, but also profoundly significant in its historical context, serving as a powerful anti-war statement. Its importance can objectively be recognized based on its impact on both art and society. There are measurable objective standards that make artists good, which is why most artists have a higher appreciation for the art form than other people. It's why a filmmaker can watch so many different films that have so many different emotions coming from different genres and countries and have specific things that have nothing to do with them, but they can appreciate it as an artist. It's why musicians love so many different forms of music. We can objectively say something is good and appreciate it without having to like it. It's possible. Look, all I'm saying is stop saying that art is subjective, because it's not. It's insulting to artists, and you can't do what they do. It's completely fine to say you don't like something or something's not for you, but to dismiss it as not being good because you didn't connect with it is ridiculous. Not to mention, most people don't have the authority or the knowledge of whatever art they're critiquing to even speak on it as if they know what's good or not. Art ain't subjective, y'all. Taste is. So have better taste in things.